listening to Why the Truck.
Man, what an opening session. Keynote from Craig Fuller, founder and CEO of FreightWaves, the man who makes all this possible. Nice job. I was doing that all day yesterday. Maybe I passed the curse on to you.
It's my turn. Yeah, it was a pretty fun way to wake up, you know, get a little future, what's happening by 2025, what's happening by 2050, and what is happening right now with some good year-over-year data.
When he asked if, I think it was Brandon Freed who asked if everybody, he asked everybody in the room to raise their hand if they had Amazon Prime, right?
Yeah.
And not only did anyone like raise their hand, but people just started walking out who were in the hallway and just like to raise their hand to just participate in the fact that it's like 105%.
You may not want to do business with Amazon, but boy, do we like, well, being their consumer, right?
Their customer?
Yeah.
What's the last thing you bought on Amazon?
A bass amp.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big purchases.
Right.
Now, do you have to clear those with the wife or do you just...
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
All right, so what's the rule in your household?
Well, see, the thing is, if she gives me permission for something that might be a $400 item, then
you're co-signing her $400.
Yes. Or it could, in multiples of 10, it could even be. Suddenly I'll come home and she'll be like, honey, I decided we needed new shutters around the whole house. And it's like, okay.
Well, it's Tuesday in Nashville, Chad. It's Tuesday in Nashville.
It's Tuesday.
I think when people book this, maybe if they're not from here, they're expecting maybe nicer weather, but it's like 34 degrees. It's very seasonal out here in Tennessee. It's not, I don't know. We're not sitting out by the pool, that's for sure.
I am digging me, though, some Nashville. It is great. This is a great place to have a conference.
I know. You got a little baby cowboy hat. You didn't wear it. You forgot it in your hotel room. Hopefully you can get that before the maids come.
I got it at, the American Line Haulers. They had a great party last night at the Country Music Hall of Fame. Really fun. Got a cowboy hat, got a bandana, needed them.
Is there anyone who's in the Country Music Hall of Fame? Because people argue about like Eli Manning shouldn't be in the NFL Hall of Fame. I would probably agree with Drew Brees that maybe he should. He had those two huge wins against the Patriots.
Yeah.
So who in the Country Music Hall of Fame did you think didn't belong there last night when you were looking?
Didn't belong. That's a tough one.
Okay. Well, who did belong?
I mean,
who should be there?
I guess I wondered, are the Statler brothers that great? Did they need to? They were.
All right.
But no, I mean, some legends, of course. Johnny Cash. Some people that they don't know about the Carter family. That's a whole strain from where country music came, the Carter family. And there is a guy, Jimmy, is it Ellis? Jimmy Ellis, I think.
Maybe.
He died when he was 37. Hank Williams Sr. was like the Shakespeare of country music, died when he was 27, if you can believe that.
Wow. So a woman really wrote all his music.
No.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, we have a huge guest lineup today. We have Eric Hare from K9Global. He's going to come on and talk to us about dog security, canine professionals.
It's exciting.
Canines in the workforce. You said you have a dog. Do you think that your dog could work for as a drug screening creature?
My dog is very undisciplined. He's a sweetheart, but he pulls on the leash no matter what you do. And
do you get like a choker collar for him?
No, that would be kind of cruel and unusual.
After him, we'll have Craig Fuller. We mentioned him. We'll round out his keynote and get up to date on what Sonar, know more, faster, what it's doing for the AirCargo space, where you need to know more faster than anyone else other than maybe NASA. A lot of talk about NASA here. It's exciting.
Yeah. You had a fun interview.
Yes, I'll be talking to Michelle Helkerston later today. She worked at NASA before coming here as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before she bought her own company.
Interviews at the speed of light with Dooner.
Awesome stuff. So I think Eric is here. Let's have him come right on. Hey, Eric, thanks for joining us.
Morning.
Eric, you were an officer in the infantry.
I was 25 years.
25 years running tight ship. Well, glad we were actually punctual then with getting you on time.
Did you work?
You were close.
Eric, did you work with dogs when you were out in the field when you were in the Army doing infantry work?
Yeah, so what we did at that time, we had dogs in each platoon, so you could clear mines and clear IEDs, possible IEDs, stuff like that. So we had some.
So that's sort of where you cut your canine teeth, excuse the pun.
A little bit, yeah. That's right.
Well, what goes into training a canine professional?
Well, first you got to you got to buy the right dog, right? So you got to buy one that's physically sound, environmental, the nerve strength, all that kind of stuff. So you go to a good breeder and you buy a Pro Bowler, is what we call it, right? You don't buy a high school football player.
Okay.
You buy a Pro Bowler that way, because that dog will give you. It's a smarter dog, bonds better, it learns faster. So and then we put them in about 8 weeks of training in the cargo environment to pick up on the explosives.
How do you do that initial assessment? How do you know, this is a Pro Bowler, like early on?
We send good guys over to procure them. The same guys that are training them, they go over there and they test the dog in different situations to see how the dog reacts.
So Emily has a cockapoo. Do you think that you could take one of those kind of dogs and make it a drug sniffing dog or security dog, or does it? Because usually you'll see like German Shepherds, you'll see Labradors. Those tend to be really popular.
Yeah. So we believe in the herding dogs, and the herding dogs we call them pointy ear dogs. There's your Shepherds, Belgian Malinois. They do much better because they have that physical, that drive to want to succeed, want to work for a ball. And then you have the sporting breeds, so like the labs and stuff, you use them to
sorry, Emily.
If you can't train them not to use the bathroom inside, you can't train them to sniff odor.
Well, how did you get involved with training dogs?
Well, when I retired out of the military, my first stint was with a civilian company called K9, and they were the largest canine company in the world, and I ran operations for them. And then I went to a couple of technology companies and then started my own company with a partner of mine.
Do the dogs live with a handler? So what is the life of a canine professional? They go into the academy, they get trained by you guys, you pick out that Pro Bowler. Then what is, do they live with somebody? How does all that work?
They do. So after they finish their training, we train everybody in Alabama. That's where our facility is. And then they go out to their cities. It's either LAX or wherever they're going to be. And the canine's their partner. So it's a life partner. So, and we have a program called Partner for Life with the canine that if they were with us for 2 years, they can keep the canine anytime they leave. So they take it home every day. It's a family member.
Well, with cybersecurity becoming an increasingly important issue in the industry, is this something that is a scalable type of operation? Are you seeing a lot of growth with like having dogs fulfill the needs in these ports?
Like cyber dogs? like
just
video game dogs?
Just regular old dogs.
Yeah, so this just started. The cargo screening just started about a year ago, and we've already got over 120 dogs, and it keeps expanding just in that arena. And then when you start to look at a lot of your companies like your Amazons and all that, the tech companies, they're wanting canines in their security plan for their facilities as well. So you see it really grow in the whole canine industry.
Have you, what's the most interesting thing you've seen a dog find, or a story you've heard about? You've been around dogs for over 26 years in the Army, but then you've also been, how long have you been doing the canine professional training and all that?
Off and on for about the last 3.5 years or so.
So do you have any good stories from out in that field?
I mean, there's some good finds. Some of them we can't talk about, but we had a canine in a facility that pulled the handler about 100 feet away from where they were supposed to be screening. And every time they inspected the box 2 or 3 times, they wouldn't get any residue, so they decided to open it up. And inside there was 3 grams percent of an explosive odor, residue. So it was amazing that the dog's threshold was so low that it was able to pick that up. And we were lucky. It just so happened to be, there was a bunch of TSA inspectors. So
well, what are some of the types of things that the dogs are looking for? Obviously, I'm sure drugs and bombs. Are there other things?
Well, we separate the dogs. So if we have an explosive dog, that's all we teach them. That way, because if they sit, that's when something could go boom, right? That's why you want to train that dog. Well, the other dogs, we have lithium battery, man in a box, narcotics. So they're screening your freighters for man in the box and stuff like that. It's a faster, we can do a freighter in a couple hours instead of having to take your CO2 and some of the other techniques that they have today.
Well, are any of them literally looking for like man in a box, like stowaways, people who might be? So is that really is a person in a box?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Jack in a box. Counterfeit is a big counterfeit goods, but I don't suppose you can necessarily train a dog to be able to be sensitive to that kind of exposure.
Well, perfumes maybe, right?
Yeah, you can train
fake cologne versus the real cologne.
Is that really?
If you have a scent, if there's a scent picture, we can train a scent picture for the dog to pick that up. You can also, like bullfrogs, like a scent a dog doesn't know. When it sees it, it'll show a change of behavior, you want to call it that. And you got to train it out of it because bullfrogs are okay. Right, so if it's when you want them to learn.
What happens when they because you could get into some hairy situations, especially when you're finding explosives. So what happens at that point? Does it go sort of like lockdown when someone finds a unattended luggage or something? What occurs there? So
once the dog, it's called an alarm. Once the dog alarms, and we transfer the cargo back to our client, and then they have protocols in their regulations on how they resolve that. So it'll go through stages. There's always a secondary. They'll use an X-ray or something to basically second check it. And then if it still alarms, then of course you call in your local bomb squad and you evacuate the building. But every facility has their own protocols.
I guess there's a number of levels of investment that you guys put into the K9 in the first place. Both, like, I guess there's a little bit of an emotional investment, there's a time investment, there's got to be a cost investment. First of all, how long does it take to like train this dog and have the dog really ready to be possibly adopted, as you were saying, to another location?
So it takes about 8 to 10 weeks to train the dog, and then you pair the dog with a handler, and that takes anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks. And then it takes a week of certification through the TSA process, and then they're in the field. So you count minimum of 120 days to build a full team and have it ready to go to the field. That sounds,
I mean, 8 to 10 weeks and a dog's trained. Wow.
So the hardest thing is once they pick up that first odor. So our dogs, we train them on 44 different odors and mixes of those odors and the distractors, because you want to know the distractors so they don't sit on a distractor like plastic or whatnot. So, but once they learn, it takes them 3 or 4 days to learn that first odor. But once they get the first one, they all just start stacking on because now they know the game.
Like the flywheel effect.
Speaking of distractions, like when it's hard for me to not see a lab and want to go over to it and just scratch it, and be like and give it a pet. But I know they're working too. And are they almost like seeing eye dogs that you shouldn't go up to and bother them while they're on duty? What is the protocol there?
Yeah. So the way we work is if we're in an area and the dog is actually working, then you don't approach the handler or the dog. And that's one of those things where you redirect the dog. And that's when you talk about environmental strength of the dog, that means if they hear something loud, beeping, or someone distracts them, they go right back to working. It doesn't bother them. They ignore it.
Wow. Well, it's quite the thing that this is your retirement. You're an intense guy. You're doing a whole lot of things. How can people learn more, reach out to you, learn more about K9Global?
Well, they can go to our website. And the banner's up top. They can pick out the website and look at it, say we got lucky.
I don't know if Harrison can pan that eye, our camera guy.
Yeah.
But it is, what is it, cargok9.com?
Yep, it'll take you right to our website or gk9pg.com.
Hey, one last question. Do you have, when I worked in the music industry, I stopped listening to music for a while, and now that I do podcasts a lot, I don't listen to as many podcasts. Do you have a dog at home, or do you get enough of dogs at work?
I have 5.
Wow.
But none of them are working dogs.
Okay.
They're worthless dogs. They're
wow.
They're kennel pets. We have a sheepdog, 2 English bulldogs.
Yeah.
Like a Chihuahua. Yeah, so it's,
Because if you brought home the trained ones, you'd be like, I'm surrounded by my coworkers, and you just have enough.
That's right.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for your service, man. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great to have you on.
Great stuff. I think that we have maybe our guest of honor next coming up. It's yes, we do. It's Craig Fuller. Yes.
Craig Fuller is going to be on the show, our keynote speaker. We're so fortunate to be able to have him on. And we're in for a treat right now. Let's get him mic'd up.
Yeah, he was talking about how our sonar platform relates to AirCargo, but it went a lot deeper than that. He was talking about changes with venture capital and how that's changing the industry, the different robotics and AI companies. And I was looking at that Starsky truck, and Craig said that it failed because they were trying to move. They were trying to be a trucking company, right? But I saw the picture of the truck, and I think they also failed because it's ugly. Like, it looked like it had security cameras.
It looked like it was from the 1970s, too.
It was just a terrible looking truck.
And it reminded me of Starsky and Hutch.
The name reminded you of Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah. Yeah. So come on down, Craig.
I can't believe I'm on the show.
The show.
Well,
the show. There are other shows.
Yes.
But certainly the People's Choice Award goes to What the Truck.
And
but Chad, I gotta ask,
what
did you? You've been doing this show for 2 years now?
Coming up on it, I guess.
When is the anniversary?
I think March. Right, March 2018 is when we launched.
So we need a celebration, like the What the Truck 2-year anniversary.
Let's do
2-year live show.
Party. We should do a full day live show for What the Truck.
Okay, let's do it.
We get to work
big cake and champagne, and we can have beer for the first time in a year to celebrate.
Shut it down.
Celebrate the What the Truck reunion.
Yeah.
Well, I love
have
it.
on
Of course,
stage,
we're
we
cooking
can
with
do it in the bar.
gas
I
now.
agree with you.
Ever
I think we
since
should
dinner's
invite,
gone.
like, have a party for What the Truck 2-year anniversary.
Yeah,
like,
have a lot of guests
invite
on.
the public to Chattanooga, Tennessee. So let's get a date. What
Okay.
date?
Okay.
St. Patrick's Day.
Pick a date. St. Patrick's Day.
Sure.
Yeah, so
We're
What the
gonna
Truck
do
St.
green
Patrick's
beer,
Day party.
St. Patrick's Day and 2-year
What is that?
anniversary.
March 17th?
It's
What
March
day is
17th.
that?
You don't know St. Patrick's?
No,
You're not
but what
Irish?
day
You
is
don't-
it? It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
What's wrong with
Tuesday.
Tuesday? It's a good day.
We might
All
have
right,
to
we'll
do
Tuesday.
Monday.
What do
We
you
can
wanna
do
do?
it Tuesday. That's fine.
But
Okay.
we're gonna do live What the Truck 2-year anniversary show on St. Patrick's Day, where it's gonna be live. And if you want to be on What the Truck,
Yeah.
come to Chattanooga, where we're gonna start drinking at 8 a.m. with green
wow.
beer.
Well, I
Wow,
have to
this
say,
is,
you know,
But
like,
neither Duna nor I drink,
Yeah.
so
Well,
you're
this-
gonna be drinking alone.
Will this be live?
That will be the- that will
You'll be
the
among your
same.
What the Truck friends. You're just gonna be drinking. Chad, I suspect Chad might drink.
We might get a tier.
Every now and then.
You know, like honestly, the story behind how some of that happened. You know, JP and I were talking with Barry right before going on for the first couple of episodes, and we were anxious, and we were like, "Let's break the ice a little bit. Let's have a couple of beers, get loosened up." That became a part of the routine, and kind of became a thing.
It got so bad because you guys would do a 30-minute show and 10-minute would be about beer.
Well, we
Yeah.
had to
And
get a little more
I would
disciplined.
get complaints from the public, but I think in a 2-year anniversary, I think you can start and do an all-day drinking show.
Wow.
That sounds challenging.
It does sound challenging. I mean, keeping an audience for all day, but
So, Craig, why are you here other than to come on What the Truck? You were on stage earlier and you were
was.
espousing the message of FreightWaves venture capital and all of that kind of stuff.
it was not espousing FreightWaves venture capital. It was espousing the message of disruption. I know that you sound like you paid close attention.
I
to
was
the-
paying close
the
attention.
Well, it was a
No, I said FreightWaves and venture capital.
Well, no, I was really talking about the fact that you have brand new participants which don't have to play by everybody else's rules.
Yeah.
And that is scary and exciting at the same time. If you're an incumbent, it means you're going to have new competitors that you hadn't considered competitor before. And I think we just have to bring light to those topics because it is going to be a reality going forward is that the world's changed.
You know, you talked about Bill Ford talking about how mobility is maybe going to be bigger as coming down the road in a few years.
Well, it's going to
than
be
the first-
bigger than. So his quote is,
Yeah.
And I'm not direct quoting, I'm paraphrasing, but
Sure.
basically what he's saying is that the mobility revolution, the idea of moving people or things, will have a bigger impact and be a bigger venture concept. In other words, bigger returns than what the first wave of the internet was. And that's pretty profound to say because
Right.
think about like Jeff Bezos is one of the world's richest men that effectively grew up in the internet age. What Bill Ford is saying is that the mobility revolution is going to create more wealth than was created during the internet age. And that's a pretty profound thing to say.
And it's one of the reasons that there is so much excitement in the industry right now. Like, so my broad question for you is, why is it so exciting in the industry right now?
Well, it's either exciting or scary. And I think at times both for
Yeah.
everybody. It's exciting because there's so much happening with technology and technology innovation and new participants and just frankly interest. I mean, when you joined us, Chad, 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and you're like, I work for a freight media outlet, people are like, boring. And
Yeah.
now you're like, but dude, we're doing
Yeah.
with drones and autonomous vehicles and
I
electric
learned
vehicles.
really fast that's what part of it was so exciting.
It's cool.
Yes.
And now when you start having conversations, you're the cool guy at the party. How does that feel?
It feels good. Like it happened pretty quickly. We would go to events and they're like, "Oh, you're the FreightWaves guy."
Yeah, you guys book freight? Like you guys match freight? That's what most people think is we're a broker.
Well,
We're
they
like,
did
we're
at
not a broker.
first, yeah.
Yeah, but now I think people know who we are, but it's less about us. I think what's happening right now in venture land is there's a lot of capital really propping up the industry and supporting some of these new upstarts. And I think that's exciting because it means a lot of new jobs and a lot of people are entering the industry, a lot of like new innovations. But the downside of that is you end up competing with companies that don't have to make profits.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah.
In the old days, you're like, well, nobody's going to go to zero.
Well, you mentioned one of those companies, and it was a core point of your talk up there was Amazon. You talked about the story and the information that FreightWaves brings to the market, not just through Sonar, but through FreightWaves.com. published a story about Amazon. Can you recount that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it was John Paul Hampstead. So we got a tip about freight.amazon.com, which was their freight brokerage business. We got a tip on a Friday, wrote about it, didn't think much of it. It was after the market closed. Wake up Monday morning, and the entire sector is sold off $2.5 billion of market cap. Some of these stocks were over 10%. Had lost 10% over the weekend or on Monday morning. And I think what happened is that people woke up to the reality that Amazon's coming for logistics. And Jeff Bezos has said he wants to basically, 10% of the world's logistics business, he wants Amazon to be part of that. If they hit, if you think of logistics as a $9.6 trillion industry, and if Amazon achieves that goal of being 10% of it, that puts them at $1 trillion of revenue. That's 3 times as big as their retail business. This means logistics is their business. And it's a company that doesn't have to make a profit. Now, and that's what's scary about it.
Yeah.
Because effectively, it changes the rules of engagement of everybody and everything as we know it.
Wow. Well, one of the things we're also trying to do in our participation here for the first time at the AirCargo 2020 conference is sonar can be of use to a lot of people and of all kinds of points in the supply chain. Air cargo shippers, carriers, integrators, what can sonar do for them?
Well, it's all about information. So if you're going to have an environment where e-commerce and near real-time delivery is a fact, you need information. And I think the air forwarders and the expediters are always on the, they're usually the last to be involved in a project in terms of, they're the rescue, they're the 911 ambulance of the industry. And being aware of what disruptions will take place and having intelligence to that is important. And that's what Sonar is built to do, is provide the fastest data ever. And that's what we've aspired to do, and I think that's why Sonar makes sense for this audience.
Part of why FreightWaves exists and something like Sonar can exist is another aspect of Amazon's business, right? Amazon Web Services, which is, they may not make a profit being that carrier, right? That in the shipping side of it, but they sure do on the website, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not on the website. It's called Amazon Web Services because it hosts cloud. It's the cloud hosting.
Yeah, on the website, not the website.
The website, yeah, sorry. If you think of in the old days, if you had a technology company, in, say, pre-2005, you would have to go out and buy physical servers, put them in a data center, probably at headquarters, wherever your headquarters were. And as you grew, you would either, if you anticipated fast growth, you go buy a lot of equipment. If you were growing and didn't have the capital to invest in the equipment, you would add it incrementally. The problem is you can't have an exponential growth business that you can anticipate without a lot of money. And so what AWS did was it made it efficient to just grow. And all you had to worry about as a startup was acquiring customers, retaining them, and delivering value to them, not having to worry about internet infrastructure. And I think, Jeff Bezos' greatest innovation is not Amazon.com, the website, not the retail. That's not his greatest contribution to mankind. His greatest contribution to mankind is AWS. And I think that's underappreciated by most people.
Part of it, I think the genius too is just being able to maintain market share without even having to be profitable for such a long time.
Well, now the AWS is immensely profitable
right now. Yes, right,
and it will be. I think it's reached a critical amount of scale. The cost of server space is exponentially going cheaper. Just in terms of physical hardware, it's going to be profitable for a very long time. I think in your comments about Amazon broadly is it doesn't have to make a profit in some of these side hustles,
which is kind of that's the scary thing.
In logistics,
right?
They don't have to make a profit. They literally, are growing at such a fast rate, and their shipping costs are growing at such a fast rate that they have a lot of ways to. They're not hiding it from their investors, but they have a lot of ways to justify that growth without having to be looked at the same way people look at FedEx. There's been a lot of discussion about should Amazon buy a FedEx. I don't think the antitrust. I think the government would have a problem with that. The issue is that Amazon doesn't need to buy it. They can build that capacity out themselves, the problem is if they bought FedEx, then there would be a lot of transparency in how much FedEx makes money, and people would start to really focus on that as a line item, where right now it's a side hustle.
Well, speaking of disruptors and maybe not even making a profit for a while, you talked about Uber Freight in your keynote, and you mentioned reading the book Super Pumped.
Yeah,
it was fascinating.
He's coming to FreightWaves Live.
Oh wow!
The author of Super Pumped.
Okay,
is coming.
Well,
to
I'm super pumped.
Live.
Tell us about that book. Like, what was so? What's
I think the story of Uber is one. I would say a mixed view of Uber, not necessarily a bad one, not necessarily a great one. The thing is, there's things I love about Uber, and there's things, as an entrepreneur, I am somewhat envious of what Travis K had accomplished when he was CEO. And I think what that story's about is effectively how he built the business and how he thought basically grow at all cost, become king of the world at all costs. And I think that he's paid the price for that in terms of reputation and stuff. And he was a very polarizing figure. But as an entrepreneur, I find myself rooting for him in ways, even as corrupted as some of the things, the storylines, I'm rooting for him in some ways. I'm like, this guy is fighting the taxi lobby. He's right. He's fighting the incumbents, and
you've got to have some of that.
You have that. I mean, there's a certain element of that in every entrepreneur, where I think every successful entrepreneur wakes up, they're fighting for something, right? Or against something, because you have to stay motivated. And the problem with an entrepreneur is that it's very hard to stay motivated. You have to motivate your team. You are the source of drive for that business. And if you don't have something that's driving you, it's very hard to inspire your team, because they want to follow an example of somebody who's fighting. I love when someone trolls us on social media, or
that never happens.
A rival publication.
That fires you up.
A rival publication says something stupid that we're like, remember the sacrifices. Let's remember the sacrifices right now.
You need that locker room material, right?
Because it's
like, are they
cry.
really legitimately talking about this? Let's go out. Like, this is great.
Yeah.
Like, they're self-loathing because they got their ass kicked. There's a rule about social media, and this is actually great, is you can insult your competitors, you can talk about them, but you never whine about them, because that shows weakness. And what we end up seeing is people start whining. And so that's great. It's like, please continue to be upset that you worked late on New Year's Eve and we still kicked your ass. So,
what about the Hyperloop? The way you described it, I pictured like Augustus Gloop in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, just getting stuck in the middle of it. It seemed like you don't.
I mean, I didn't go too deep into the Hyperloop. It's a pipe dream.
Yeah. There you go.
Boom. It is a pipe. Yes.
We might have a rim shot. We might even have a rim shot for you, Craig.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's a rim shot. Oh yeah, you can.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, but no, I think the Hyperloop is an interesting concept. We'll see if it ever goes anywhere.
Yeah.
It's good fodder for a talk like that, because it gets people staring into the abyss.
Well, it could be cargo. I mean, you tested it on cargo for sure.
Yeah, I mean, cargo would be.
Right?
I would think I'd trust to put my boxes in a tube. I'd trust my checks, right?
You sound very
much more
empathetic
likely than
it.
I'd trust to put my
I'm
kids in a tube.
excited about it. I want some high-speed rail. I want some hyperloops. I want to get.
I had this
pipe dreams
conversation.
go.
I was at a high school last night giving a talk to my colleague, a little kid. They're high schoolers, not little kids.
Right.
They're older than mine. And I was talking to them, and there was this young kid in the audience that was obsessed with public transportation. And he's like, "Why don't we have public transportation?" And I think he's right. Like, we should have an efficient public transportation. But I pointed out that logistics is ultimately a business of optimization, of utilization. So you have to build these things in really dense markets. And that's why I think the Hyperloop will start in some of these other areas of the world where they don't have the regulatory issues and they have dense populations.
Cool. What's next?
Wow.
What's the next event after this one?
Well, for me, I've got a couple of roadshow investor things I have to do.
Nice.
Or get the opportunity to do. I have to do them. Just because that's my job.
Yes.
But
That's very optimistic,
so
positive-minded.
I'm very
opportunities.
tired. It's been a long month. But having said that, we have FreightWaves Live coming up.
Yeah.
We have the Truck Home Carriers Association, TCAs, coming up. But FreightWaves Live in Atlanta on May 5th and 6th. What the truck will be there.
Aaron Andrews will be there.
Aaron Andrews will be there. The author of Super Pumped will be there. Chad will be there. Dooner will be there.
Yeah.
Emily will be there. Everybody will be there. You'll be there.
And I think that there's a discount code right now you could use it from the AirCargo 2020. Get your ticket now.
Wow.
What is the, how much money do you save?
Save $200.
$200. Do it. Like, why wait? It costs you money to wait.
You do. It does cost you money to wait.
No more faster. Buy your tickets faster. FreightWaves.com. Figure it all out. Learn more about Craig Fuller. Freight Alley on Twitter.
Freight Alley.
Yeah.
Yes.
At Freight Alley. Ladies and gentlemen,
Thanks for
great
joining
to
us.
have you on. Good job, dude.
All right. On March 17th, St. Patty's Day, we do What the Truck Live, all you can drink.
Wow.
And all you can think about What the Truck.
I can't wait to get some of those guests
What the
on
Truck.
there after they've had some suds.
Oh, it'd be great.
Yeah,
So
well.
we're going to go live. 24 hours of What the Truck.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God.
All right. See you
That's
guys.
frightening. So, Chad, you are still holding on hope for this Hyperloop. You're going to drive your Starsky truck to the Hyperloop and throw your
I'll just
package in
remote
there.
control it. You know? Yeah. That'll be fun. No, I just want my goods sent to me in a half an hour by drone. You know, I can't wait for a world like that.
Have you ever been to Brussels before?
Brussels, no, I have not.
Oh, wow. I have.
You have?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
it's actually, so like downtown Belgium's like a really small area, actually.
Oh.
And one of the things there is like, I was there as a 14-year-old and they tried to sell you like lace and waffles, which is like, not the most exciting thing. Lace, yeah, like Belgian lace is very popular.
Oh.
Lace.
Wow.
You know, like
yeah,
lace.
I thought you were
twined lace.
something was laced or something.
Yeah, is Steve here?
Well, he's here. He's ready to come on. So
Come on,
speaking
Steve.
of Brussels, it's such a coincidence that you mentioned
Hi,
that.
thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
From Brussels Airport Company, Director of Cargo and Logistics at Brussels Airport. I don't know. You wrote Brussels Airport Company twice.
You're making good advertisement for my airport.
Yes.
That's good. Thanks. Mentioning it 3
reinforcement.
times.
Yes.
Love it.
So what do you do over there as a head of cargo?
Well, we are responsible for all the cargo activities. I think we have the benefit that we are one of the very few airports having full control in a sense that from real estate to operations, we really have a separate business unit, a separate P&L. So we are basically in a separate business taking care of cargo.
So it's taking care of business in Brussels is different than operating almost anywhere else in the world?
Yeah, but you see in most airports that you will have a cargo guy who takes care of the marketing, the operational, sometimes it's the real estate. With us it's different. Everything that happens in the cargo area is our responsibility. We have our own legal, own finance, own P&L, so we really look at cargo from a separate business, really.
Do you have your own dogs? We were talking to the dog guys earlier from the Cargo K9 company.
I have an own dog at home, but he's not working on the K9. But we have several companies, but we're still a facilitator. So we have the forwarders, the airlines, the handling agents. We have several companies with the dogs. So we facilitate the process. We do not get really involved in the day-to-day business ourselves.
Do you prefer it that way? Is it more difficult, more complicated when you're kind of just siloed and doing it differently than everybody else?
If you do a silo, it's not working. It's like a restaurant. If you have somebody choosing the menu and somebody doing the shopping and somebody looking for the waiters and somebody deciding what tableware you're using, you're not finding a concept of a restaurant. And I would like to have ownership on everything. Yeah. And that is the strength, I think, of our airport. We really have ownership.
Yeah. Bill Parcells said that about Robert Kraft when he was the Patriots coach. He said, "If you want me to cook dinner, let me shop for the groceries."
I love that
famous
one.
quote. Yeah,
same one. Yeah.
Steal that one and say it's from a famous American football coach.
Anyways.
But it doesn't
He
work
stole it
out
from
for a
me,
lot of head coaches. It worked out for Bill Parcells, but not for a whole lot of coaches. Too much responsibility.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, in special cases, I suppose.
What's the most typical kind of cargo that you guys see move through the airport? Are there any commodities that really stand out?
But the fun thing of cargo is that if you compare it to shipping, you have containers.
Yeah.
With air cargo, you see what you're doing
Yeah.
because of the volumes, and we've seen everything. Just a moment ago, we had some nice animals. We had 2 bears.
But you have bears?
Yeah.
Wow.
We have had a leopard.
Live loads.
We had koalas. We do a lot of pharmaceuticals. When so many years ago, Viagra pills starting to become, we were the first airport transporting them.
You wouldn't
because
want the
they were
bears to get
produced
a hold
in
of those.
Belgium.
That
No.
That'd be a
But how they were
messy
dealt
flight.
with, like valuables, to get out the diamonds and things like that. So we see everything, and that's the fun thing, of course.
Well, so those are the fun, unusual things.
Yeah.
What's the typical cargo that you guys are moving through your airports?
What we try to specialize in, because again, an airport has to do everything, but where we really try to make a difference is pharmaceuticals.
Okay.
We have a huge market share on pharmaceuticals. Belgium is, and not many people know that, very much known for pharmaceutical production. All the big ones have production facilities in Belgium. We are the second biggest exporter in the world of pharmaceuticals. So we really try to specialize in that one. There's no airport in the world, even the ones that are 5 times bigger, that have more cooled facilities than we have. So that's really our specialty, yeah.
Wow.
You a big fan of the movie In Bruges?
No, I don't know.
Okay, it's a Colin Farrell movie.
I'll try to
Yes.
watch it on the flight back
Well,
home.
no, it takes place in Brussels. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, in the city there.
Bruges,
Oh, yes, I did. I
it's
probably
in
just
Bruges,
massacred
in
the
Bruges,
name.
Yeah. I know Belgium is that small, but it's not the same.
It is small. I went there when I was with my Catholic school. We went on a European tour, and one of the stops we did was in Brussels.
Yeah.
And my big takeaway was that they really try to peddle waffles and lace on you. At least in the mid '90s, that was kind of like.
Well, waffles, chocolates, beer.
Yeah.
That's still, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very much what our country is known for, yeah.
Well, how important is data for you guys now from where you were? I mean, in the past just 2 years since FreightWaves has really emerged onto the scene, and I've been a part of it, it's become sexy. We say data is the new oil.
Yeah.
How has it been, like real time, just in time kind of data? How do you guys use it and integrate it into what you do?
It's nice you're asking, because the second thing we really specialize in, we have created a very innovative open data sharing platform, which we call BruCloud. So I think yesterday we had a whole discussion on data and availability of data, and we have all this data available. We have, thanks to this data, a lot of operational solutions we have created, small ones, quicker clearance, slot booking solutions for reducing waiting time. So for us, that's really a game changer on how we work. And I think in the next year, that's only going to grow spectacular if we talk about data. Yeah.
Do you think open platforms are important? Because you mentioned that even open sharing one. Do you think in order for them to scale and to be adopted by a lot of people? Because I remember when blockchain in 2018 was kind of a sexy conversation then.
We have a blockchain application on the platform, by the way.
Are you still excited by it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, it has its limitations, but also it has great advantages. I think that the benefit of an open data sharing platform is we want to create something that is attractive for the users. I don't want you to come to eat in my restaurant because there's no other choice. I want you to come because we have the best menu, the best setting, and the best price quality. And with all these more closed, big systems, you force people to use something in total which they don't really need at certain times. And our open data sharing platform is really like your app store. You can download apps you want to use. You only pay for them you want. And it's not a big change. Everything is behind the scenes connecting data. So I'm not forcing any company to do internal change into their systems. If you're a small company, you want to use everything, perfect. If you're a big one, you only want to use part of it, perfect. It's what you want.
Wow. What's the weirdest thing that you guys have shipped? I mean, you mentioned the bears and the koalas and all that stuff. Have you ever done like rare art or anything to that effect?
Well, we have done a lot of art because, again, there's not much. I think the weirdest thing I did was the most stupid thing, and that was two wooden planks for a flooring for a hotel opening, and they didn't find any locally, and they had to ship it. And then you think, oh, stupid, but if it has to go fast, it is. And the second one I also will always remember is a big boat. A guy buying a boat and it's being transported to Turkey. And he decided that instead of having it on Monday, he wants to have it on Saturday because he wants to make a trip with the family on Sunday. So suddenly he chartered an aircraft to put a boat in and to fly it to Turkey. So these are fun things that you say, yeah, if you have money.
Crazy, man.
You got to have a lot of money.
Have you ever been to Nashville? Is this your
No, it's my first time and I love it.
First time to AirCargo conference?
No, I was here last year in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And I liked the conference already, but I have to say Nashville really
It's a cool town, isn't it? And this is a good location because sometimes you go to conferences and you're not like really in the city. You get excited that you're going to go there, and then you're like, oh,
another airport.
Yeah, you got to take a bunch of Ubers and Lyfts to get there. But here you can just walk out and stumble around the city and do whatever you like.
Great music, great bars. So yeah, we had some good evenings so far.
Well, thanks for participating and doing your thing. How do people reach out to learn a little bit more?
Well, we are at many conferences. If they go to our website, they can find our contacts. If they want to know more about the data sharing platform, BruCloud, they have a separate website. And my main idea was talking about TIACA because I'm also the chairman of the International AirCargo Association.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Headquartered in Miami. So also there you can find contacts. So it should not be too difficult to get hold of me.
Stephen Polmans.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us.
I
really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thanks for
interesting stuff.
Yeah, contributing to our conversation.
We talk about data, freight tech, and all those things. The next gentleman we're going to talk to, he does a lot with RFID. And RFIDs first came on my radar in a very unlikely place. Larry Flint had actually written an article about them. And it was almost
Larry Flint.
The Larry Flint. It was almost like a conspiratorial one. He was like, the government's going to put RFIDs on everything and track you everywhere. And now I don't know if I believed in that, but it made me think like, wow, is RFID a viable solution for tracking? And mind you, this was in 2016. No, this was in 2006. I'm sorry. Now it's 2020, so 14 years later.
Still talking about it. It is making a difference.
Now we're seeing companies built completely around it. Our next guest has his company, which is Cargocast, and I think that their system is based on using RFIDs. This is Dan, and we will let you say your last name. Is it Diephouse?
I'm Dan Diephouse.
Okay, it was easier than we thought.
Yeah, it's super easy.
Well, and you are all the way from Oregon coming here.
Yes, I live in Portland, Oregon.
An interesting thing too, you're co-founder of Hedonist, and you got, right? And so you have handmade sparkling wines that showcase as you said, the unique terroir, the earth.
My wife and I, we make some wine out in the Willamette Valley, and so that's our side project, and it's a lot of fun.
Wow.
Fantastic. That's pretty unusual.
Our news director just looked really excited when you said that. It was like,
I should have brought some bottles for you guys.
Really? And
This
you got
is a huge mistake.
is that because of your chemical engineering degree that you got?
Chemical, interest in chemistry and biology has always been kind of a background thing in my life, but it's mainly an interest in drinking.
Yeah, he put down that you got it from Calvin Coolidge, not the Calvin Coolidge, because he died in 1933 in Northampton.
College.
Oh, I thought you put Calvin Coolidge.
That's where he went to kids.
Oh, yeah, all right. I was going to say, man, he does not look, he looks very young. Portlandia, accurate show?
Sometimes, you would be surprised, yeah. They don't quite name their chickens, but close.
Well, you have a superhero name, the digitizer of freight.
Yes, that's what you call yourself, right?
Yeah, so, I have a long background in software and technology and, spent the last decade or so working at this company where we're doing integration, helping companies connect, share data, and all of this. And after a while, I decided to take a little break and met Mike Morey, who used to be director of cargo over at Air Canada. Started learning all about a lot of the challenges around the air freight world, and logistics has always been an interest of mine. It's a very fascinating industry, tons of challenges.
It is.
Lots of change going on now.
So he's only been in logistics for a few years, and I've been in for a while, but before I got in logistics, I would never have thought it was a fascinating industry. In fact, like a lot of people, I didn't think much of it at all, right?
Yeah, I guess I didn't either, but when I was in college, I started writing software for a TMS system.
Oh, wow.
And so that kind of sparked the interest, and then I got derailed for a while, and now I'm like,
how did you get roped into that?
I met a guy in Barnes & Noble.
Okay. That's how it always starts.
Yeah.
Pretty unusual chemical engineering, and you're writing code for a TMS. Wow. So give us an overview, tell us I guess 35,000 foot view. What does Cargocast do?
Right.
How are you kind of distinguishing yourself in the market?
So we're leveraging the latest in RFID technologies and advances, so we can automate a lot of warehouse operations and track freight. So give you a couple examples. First thing is when people receive freight today, they scan every piece, or they'll scan every piece on the outbound side. That takes a lot of time. A lot of mistakes happen, so we can automate all of that. And that reduces errors, it reduces costs pretty significantly, and quality goes up. So lots of benefits.
And you're a pretty young company?
Yeah, we've only been founded since October, But this idea has been kind of
since
incubating
October.
for a while
Yeah.
in another company that I was consulting with. So I helped them spin it out and turn it into an independent company.
How do RFIDs fit into what you do? And for people who aren't familiar, how can an RFID even be used for cargo tracking, and what is it?
Right. So, every piece of cargo, right, has a label today.
Yeah.
So we just take that same label and we can embed a little RFID tag in it. And then when it goes through a portal, or they now have these overhead readers that kind of act as like GPS type systems, they activate this inlay with the chip, and it emits a signal. And so now you can see that something came in the door. You can actually pinpoint where it is within 2 feet in the warehouse.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's without having any active transponder. So now you've got, a very cheap tag, and you can pinpoint where it is. Well, now we can tell, like, hey, your salmon that is supposed to go to Chicago is actually going to Nashville because it went into the wrong container. And we can prevent those mistakes and, reduce
So not
your
just
claims.
you guys seeing them, but the customer on the other end as well.
Well, he mentioned fish too. Like, I used to deal with fish air freight, and in Boston, there's about 4 different major companies that bring in seafood, and the deliveries, they'd always it was amazing how often in 1 week the wrong boxes would be brought to the wrong seafood company, because I think that the delivery guys, they don't even look at the name of the company. They're just like, oh, okay, it's right. Carp, or it's bass. But I mentioned RFIDs, especially in that with perishables, people would be all over that, because especially if you're on the other end of the phone, they are never not looking for their freight.
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of, just generally it's applicable in freight, but it also has benefits like express freight, because now you don't have to spend all this time counting and checking everything. You can receive freight later and decrease the time in the warehouse. That also increases your utilization. It, shortens that door-to-door time, so you can have more freight every day.
Well, so what's interesting is now you are based in Oregon. I don't know the size of your young team, but you also have some East Coast influence, right? You've got an innovation lab in Atlanta. What's up with that innovation lab? What are they working on?
So at the innovation lab, we're using all the latest technologies to try and apply those to cargo type scenarios. So we actually replicate, forwarder environments or ground handler environments in our warehouse, and then we're able to actually validate that all these things work before, bringing them out to a customer and really prove out the technology. So it's great for customers to be able to see in person, and then also just reduces problems once we get on site.
Okay. One of the things that you have said is that digitization of cargo operations is non-optional if logistics providers want to meet the quality and speed needs of today's shippers. Elaborate on that a little bit. Are a lot of the companies that are not taking on technology like this, are they on borrowed time?
Well, I don't know if they're on borrowed time. They just need to change.
Yeah.
And we're working with companies, and they're, still bringing in paper from their forwarders. And it's like, okay, that's not going to fly in...
No pun intended. Yeah.
At the end of the day, right? With the security requirements, pressure to decrease shipping times, pressure on cost, we have to digitize as an industry.
And that's what you guys seem to be doing. Do you have, you said you're testing some things out to work with clients. Do you have anybody that you're working with now?
Yeah, so we're installed at a European ground handler. Can't mention their name yet.
Okay.
We're working with a top 5 freight forwarder right now. We've got a number of other pilots in the works right now. Pretty young company, so I consider we're making pretty good progress for how long we've been out there.
How do you persuade them to go with you as a young company? What do you offer, like less expensive rates, or how do you get in?
Really it comes down to analyzing the operations and the savings, right? Like when they look at it, like, wow, I can save $1 million a year, and it's going to cost me a fraction of that to get started. Like,
yeah,
let's do a pilot.
Well, the RFID too. Not a lot of people are doing it, so you're bringing something that's.
People wrote it off, right?
Yeah.
Because 10 years ago, the problem was the technology didn't actually work.
Yeah.
Right? You had 90% accuracy. The hardware was super expensive. It was just unreliable, and so now we're getting data. We're over 99% accurate. The cost for tags has come down by a factor of 5. The cost for hardware has come down by a factor of 5. And there's just so many more applications you can use now. And on top of that, we've kind of built some proprietary ways to apply it to the cargo supply chain, so you can maximize the value out of it. You don't have to put it everywhere per se, just at the critical points.
Wow, very interesting. You brought 15 years of working as what have some of the roles that you've been in and that you're bringing to your new enterprise?
Yeah, so I've been on the software engineering side, and then more recently I was we called a product manager, which is kind of like a GM essentially for our cloud integration business. So I build a cloud integration business essentially from scratch over at MuleSoft.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, before you came on, I was talking to Chad about an article I'd read, and you mentioned RFIDs and how they were written off about 10 years ago. But Larry Flint, of all people, had written an article sort of being conspiratorial, like the RFIDs are going to be on everything and they're going to track you everywhere you go. That didn't really happen, right? A lot of people wrote it off, but now you want that to happen.
But now it is actually happening. Like one of the major shoe manufacturers just embeds it in your shoes.
Oh, wow.
So,
and we don't even know.
You don't even know. It's there. Like people are weaving it into your clothing. So there's like fabric thread that you can have. And like, it's everywhere. You just don't know.
They're tracking us. They're tracking us everywhere. Yeah. They have information.
Can they put on my keys, like, so in case you lose those or something?
You know, there's a way to like get on your phone to like have them so they can't trace where you are, like your location tracking.
Okay.
Yeah,
what?
But we're tracked everywhere.
Yeah.
I can show you. It's easy as 1, 2, 3.
It blocks RFIDs?
No, not RFIDs.
Oh, okay. See, your point's irrelevant. Thank you for sharing them. Just kidding.
No, but being tracked everywhere. It's a theme. It is great to have you on, Dan. Dan Diephouse, CEO of Cargocast. How do they reach out to you or anybody else on the team to find out more?
Go to our website, cargocast.io, or send an email to dan@cargocast.io.
Okay, easy enough.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Dan.
Thanks for joining us.
Fantastic. Learning all kinds of stuff every day here on What the Truck.
Isn't it amazing how sometimes technology, it seems like it gets written off, and then before you know it, it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. It's in your shirt. It's in your shoes. It's everywhere you go.
Well, an interesting point about it is the very thing. It's like technology, we get excited about it. It goes through that little hype phase, everybody. Yeah. And then you realize, well, the world or the technology wasn't quite ready for it. Maybe some people could have said that about blockchain.
Well, what about 3D, right? Like every 20 years, they bring 3D out of the mothballs. I remember in the 80s when I was a kid, my parents took me to see Jaws 3D, and I was like traumatized. Like the movie's ridiculous by the time it gets on VHS, and they always have like the scenes where there's like like something floating towards the screen, or like someone doing a yo-yo
out there in the middle of the movie theater.
Yeah,
is it
like
worth
just floating
wearing
extra
those
long
glasses for? I mean,
but then Avatar, they tried to bring it back, and now they're making like 20 more Avatar movies. I'm not sure who's looking for those.
That show just gave me a headache.
Avatar, I fell asleep during it. I couldn't. And it wasn't like that type of 3D that came out. It was more like depth 3D, like you're supposed to be in it. But then it was like, it was hard to focus on what you were seeing.
Endless movement.
Yeah.
It was hard to follow.
The other one that people are trying to, and about a decade ago, we're talking about technology. AR was a big one where there's a bunch of apps, and you hold up your phone, and the cameras can be on fire, or Harrison over here would have a unicorn tail, like whatever you do with the AR, things would be in your room, and you could play games. I even have a lightsaber game where you fight stormtroopers and you use a lightsaber. Yes, it's a little dorky.
What's the thing where they put on the
virtual
mask?
reality?
Yeah, but it's called the Oculus.
The Oculus, yeah. That's not AR though. That's different.
But that's a new thing that they're wanting to popularize. My kids have it in the house. And nobody plays it, and I think
it gets you sick, right?
It's almost too immersive.
It is. Well, it's like when they try to bring 3D into the house. Nobody wanted to sit there wearing 3D glasses because who's going to do that and watch their TV?
Right. You can't see what's going on around you. It's very disoriented.
Well, what do you think of AR though? They've brought it back. There's some money being poured into it. There's some hype, but you still need a device, right? Like I know Burger King. Like if you took your phone up and you first of all you have to download a special app, but then you take that.
Always.
I know you can't just do it through your phone's embedded camera, or even better through like contact lenses. Like I feel like once they get them in there, then maybe there's an integration point. But I'm not going to just download like a Burger King app so that I can see the Burger King logo flame. Right? I mean, like, why would I do that? And I would definitely not do it more than once.
And, sometimes we get too clever with things like Google innovating the Google glasses. Remember how those were going to be like, so they were like kind of like a readout, like you're the Terminator.
You could get beat up wearing those.
Yeah, and then it was like all the dorks were wearing them.
Well, yeah, that's why. Because you'd be filming people too, and people would be like, "Why are you filming me?"
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like well, I don't feel comfortable saying anything anymore.
Those really didn't take off, did they?
But with the AR. The place that I do see it, some inroads that make sense are like we were talking to that guy about cargo handling, right? So if you have like a visor on, I guess, where you could do some AR, augmented reality points, you could, the tags on there or whatever could sort of come to life. You can get a better idea of where things are coming from, where they're going, where terminals are located. Like, it does seem neat. Like, if I just looked over here and then imagine if in your field of view it was like, oh, the keynote is right around the corner
or
at X time.
If you could just scan through all of the cargo containers and find the thing you're looking for, you don't even need.
Well, I'm also really bad with like people's names. So when I go to a conference like this, I'm like, man, I can't wait till the technology catches up where I can just look at someone and like their LinkedIn profile would come up, their arrest records, things like notes I may have made or things I might need to be forgiven for, or who they're with now.
That would be useful.
Well, especially at these conferences, because people tend to, especially on the sales side, you come and you get their business card. They're with one company, then the next year they're with another, and then another. It really helps you keep track of things.
Yeah. Well, that is the technology is happening. It's coming. It's a pretty exciting thing happening at AirCargo here at 2020.
Hey, look, speaking of 2020, there's a Freight Outlook special Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern time, right after What the Truck. There might even be phone lines might be open, all sorts of exciting things. Craig Fuller, I think he just got us on the hook for a full day.
Wow.
What the Truck on St. Patrick's Day.
What could go wrong?
We're gonna have you dancing like a leprechaun on stage. Do you think we'll be doing that from the like the karaoke bar stage?
Can
in
we
Freight
start
Alley?
a little later since I'm supposedly
Like
going to
9?
have to drink?
You have to start at 9 a.m. He said 9 a.m.
9 a.m. I can't start drinking at 9 a.m.
8:30. Just I don't know.
That'll
Drink some iced tea and put it in a Jack Daniel's bottle or something.
Oh, okay. Just fake them all out.
Yeah. Oh, we shouldn't have given that away.
I know.
Yeah. Who do we got coming up next?
We got a hot mic here. We've got Andy Kirschner from Delta. He is going to join us here at the desk. Come on over, Andy.
Hey, Andy,
thanks. How's everything?
I love the pin too. Good seeing you.
Thank you. Good seeing you.
Great to see you. Thank
thanks.
you.
My kids are obsessed. We can't take an airplane. I got a five-year-old and 3-year-old boys, and we can't take one without them wanting the wings. But they also collect the die-cast planes you can get in like the Hudson News and the gift shops and all that kind of stuff.
Well, we can arrange that. So.
Oh wow! Wow! All right, stay tuned, boys.
Well, tell us a little bit about what you do with Delta.
Yeah, sure. No, well, first of all, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
We're enjoying the convention. It's going quite well for us. And
great location, right? Just downtown Nashville.
It's fantastic.
He had never been to Nashville.
No.
Well,
a Northeasterner, so
a lot of growth too.
I'll be back
here. A lot of growth going on here. But thanks for having me. I mean, it's a pleasure to be here with you. So I'm the director of sales for the Americas. So I've got the Canadian, the U.S. and the Latin sales teams, and then we've got the postal contract as well that reports up through me. So keeps me busy. We've got a lot of neat initiatives that we're doing with the sales team, and again,
what are you selling?
So we're we do a couple different initiatives. We've got the domestic. So we've dedicated a domestic team in 2019 that we have a totally dedicated domestic team that focuses on targeting our customers that are here today with a primary focus on domestic. They also focus on U.S. to Pacific exclusively as well. And then something else that came out last year in 2019 was with our joint venture partners Air France KLM that we have a joint venture team which is dedicated Delta, Air France, and KLM sales staff that's focusing in, working with our top customers with a dedicated team.
Wow, and you guys are expanding that. You're expanding that sales team. You mentioned downtown Nashville growing bigger, downtown Chattanooga growing bigger, and your sales team growing bigger. Yeah. Usually that happens. I've been in sales because you're doing a good job.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate that. We've seen a lot of opportunities coming in the door, and we're out there just aggressively working with our top customers, doing everything we can to focus and to bring benefits to them, and just having that additional staffing allows us to be there to offer opportunities and be in their offices with the all-important face-to-face visits that we all know.
So as you've expanded the sales team, you've offered some new routes. Did you just mention all of those routes, or
No, absolutely not. So we're we need to look at it really twofold with our domestic routes, which we're really happy to announce as far as new service from JFK to Los Angeles and back, where we made the decision that every single flight is going to be a wide body aircraft. So it brings an incredible amount of capacity to the table for our customers with as many as 40 PMCs, which is our unit load devices in each direction per day. So on a daily basis, round trip between LA and JFK and back, it is 80 PMCs a day, which is a huge amount of capacity that we have going back and forth. So that's not only good for our pure domestic business, but also for our business for our inbound customers, or if we want to, obviously for our exports as well. So that's a really neat initiative that we have going pure domestic, with an addition of just additional growth. The other is with our international service. We just announced in December JFK to Bombay service.
Oh, wow.
So we have a 777 daily service from JFK to Bombay, which we're very excited about.
You plan on doing Chattanooga to Bombay?
We'll work on that.
Okay.
We'll work
expanding
on that.
some of our opportunities there. Of course, Delta is in Chattanooga. I like taking me some Delta flights.
Sure.
Getting one way to Chicago. Sometimes New York.
Yeah. We've got a lot of opportunities, and I've got ties to Tennessee too. My mom's family is from Tennessee, so we used to always make trips up to Tennessee when I was little.
What are some of the challenges in moving into 2020 that you guys have to navigate, that you want to smooth over? What's the environment like right now?
Yeah. So look, it's 2019. I think for everybody was a little bit of a challenging year. We're seeing here in January already some optimism coming out there. We look as far as just the pure economics and the confidence of the end user to purchase. And if we have that out there in the market, that is what helps us to be successful, and more people are purchasing, more shipments are going through. So it's just our number one initiative is just having that confidence with the end user that they're going to purchase wherever that is worldwide. We continue to see optimism out there, and we feel very confident for 2020. It's just a matter of really just getting that confidence out there with the end user.
Yeah, I think that some of the analysts I've been seeing are anticipating a pickup, at least certainly through the second half of the year. So we're the past 2 years, especially, but towards the end of the decade, digitalization is happening. You guys, how do you use data to inform your decision making now, and how is that happening in this year?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And it's just, as we say, let the numbers guide you. And everything that we do is looking for as different resources for the numbers, getting the different reportings that we have out there to help guide us in our decision making. And that's being anything from customers that we work with, as far as the numbers of how they're performing, to our opportunities with our performance with operations. Every single initiative that we work on is based on digitalization, and that's through new reportings that we have, as I mentioned. But we have to rely on that to be better. And I always say, let the numbers guide you, as I said, and it's so critical for us to do that. The feeling, the thought, however that's out the door. Everything is based on specifics, and we truly do our day-to-day guidance of the teams driven by numbers.
We started the show talking about dogs and talking to dogs. Do you know anything about Delta's new upscale high-tech pet carrier?
Yes.
How does that work?
No,
An upscale, that's super luxe.
It is. So it's a partnership that we have with CarePod. We are, this is something that's very, very important to us with the protection of our pets that we ship on a daily basis. And this is really, a very unique kennel that has anything from water that you can put in from the outside, a little reservoir, so you don't have to open the door on it. It's got a special locking mechanism on the door to obviously for the safety of the pets. Anything.
Emily, are you listening to this?
Yeah.
Ask the question.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah,
That's
I
a
bet
great
you're-
one. It's great.
bet
You know,
you're
something
excited
else
for
too
Andy.
is, even for the animals to the way, the flow of air is second to none as well. But even for the animals to be the way their vision is looking out, they look down. And so, they can't see straight out, which sometimes, that could aggravate an animal if they look out and see different initiatives. So it's just the insulation on it, anything and everything on it was taken into consideration, for the care of the animals. And we're very proud of what we're able to offer to our customers and above everything else, just the safety of the animals.
I was going to say, Chad gets aggravated when he's flying, and not just on Delta, on airlines in general. And he can look out the window, he can lean his seat back, and so just imagine being an
I
animal.
might be comfortable in one of those things. Just kind of curl up into a ball.
That would be easier. Just put a blanket over your.
You know what it would be, because I can't. I can become a little anxious.
They are very.
We see more and more dogs though. Like I've been riding on planes tonight, and Emily has a multi-poo or something like that, or a cockapoo. I see more and more of those flying actually in the airlines now. Have regulations and the airlines themselves become a lot more lax on people bringing companion animals?
Absolutely. People want to bring animals on board with them, and we fully support that. Anything from obviously service animals, which is very important for our customers to be able to have service animals as a part, and that's a lot of what you will see flying with the customers. But we're fully supportive of it, and again, it just makes the customers feel more comfortable as well.
Well, you are managing, you're juggling a lot of things all at the same time. How can people reach out to find out a little bit more about, what you do?
Yeah, Delta Cargo.
Sure. Yeah,
Get in touch with your sales team. You're expanding, right? Now those guys need to make those sales and grow even bigger.
That's exactly right. So absolutely. So deltacargo.com.
Okay.
So they can reach out to that, and we have all of our information right there. Anything from our sales team to other points of contact. We make it very simple. A lot of information on deltacargo.com that they will find. Anything from the care pods that we talked about to our routes to anything and everything. And we're super proud of our website and all the information it offers.
Deltacargo.com. You heard it right here on What the
Thank
Truck.
you very much. Thanks for joining us today, and enjoy the rest of your time in Nashville.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks.
we appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
All right, you're doing
You
a great
too.
job. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
All right, Chad, so what did you learn today?
Oh, I learned about some tech. The time's not right until the time is right.
Like the RFIDs maybe.
tags.
All right.
Yeah, what else? I learned.
What about cargo? What about the dogs? Now, when you're walking through the airport, do you feel more secure seeing a beautiful black lab walking around?
Yes, I think it's more comforting to know that they're smelling for bombs, right?
Yes.
Just that alone is kind of like the bottom line safety thing.
Well, what about the cologne too? So you stop buying the counterfeit cologne, they'll get that off the street.
Right, maybe that'll help because we don't want you putting on the wrong cologne.
Yeah,
and
I don't
not
wear cologne. Are you?
smelling
Do you
quite
like? Do you like cologne?
No, not
Yeah, no,
generally
me either.
speaking. No, I don't know. I think that you kind of like it, don't you?
No, you know what else we got coming up? Michelle Halkerston. She's the CEO and owner of Hazlitt Express, and I don't know if you knew this, but she bought the company. She worked there for years, then she bought the company. It was up for sale, and she was going through the evaluation point. She's like, you know what? I know who the perfect buyer is for this company. It's me. Not me, her.
Talk about, I get it.
Yes.
Talk about faith in your company and what you're doing, right?
Yeah, and there's this great Forbes article where it talks about it, and she said, the best decision I made was buying my own company, and you should too. So, do you have any plans to buy FreightWaves, Chad?
Oh yes, it's a secret though. So
you might need a loan, right?
Yeah. I also, I learned. I think Craig's view and analysis of Amazon is fascinating to hear.
Yeah,
I think he could talk on that for that. Just that alone could be a keynote.
Yeah, so if you stay around, though, I'll be talking to Michelle at 11 o'clock on FreightWaves Insider. Stick with us on the live stream. And if you actually here at the event watching this, come by the table. We still got some extra What the Truck shirts left, but they're going very fast. hit the music, prepare for landing.
It's been a great
That's
three
been a
what
great
the
time
trucks
in
in
Nashville.
24 hours.
3 What the Trucks in 24 hours. I just put out yesterday's day 2 on audio. It's out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and everywhere podcasts are heard around the world. What else we got going on? FreightWaves TV, down the app. You can watch the show we call What the Truck. Have a great time. Follow me on Twitter at Timothy Dooner.
Hey,
He's at Chad
Diephouse,
Prevost.
we will be looking for that sparkly line. Just whenever you're ready, just send it to us in a safe cargo carrier.
Thank you. We will be on the ground